It is August 1988. Location, Knightsbridge, central London. At the headquarters of the IBA, preparations for a unique event in the history of broadcasting are well in hand. Only 4 days later, the first audience of selected guests assemble. They've been invited to witness an historic step into the future of television broadcasting.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome to you. You are about to take part in an historic experiment. You are about to see a choice for the future, the next generation of broadcasting technology, and you're going to see it demonstrated for the first time ever. On August the 10th, 1989, a McDonnell Douglas Delta rocket is scheduled to take off from Cape Canaveral in Florida. And all going well, within a few days, BSB's own satellite will be stationed some 23,000 miles, that's 36,000 kilometers, above the Earth. And it will be in an ideal orbit to transmit high-powered television signals across the British Isles. It is going to be the beginning of a new era of television viewing. With the launch, 3 new national television channels will be available, uplinked from Britain and regulated from this building, the IBA here in Brompton Road. And with the launch, BSB will claim its place as the third force in British broadcasting. In fact, there's nothing really very new about transmitting satellite signals into space, bouncing them back off a platform up there, a satellite, and then collecting them back on Earth in a dish or aerial. What is new, of course, is, well, firstly, the decision to make the signals strong enough to bounce directly into people's homes. And secondly, to take advantage of the opportunity of direct satellite broadcasting to update the whole of the technology for picture creation, transmission and reception. Now, this is certainly the most important updating in television since colour, and one of the most important developments since the medium was invented. And it involved some very hotly fought-over choices. The same sort of battle happened with every other step in the development in the history of television.
The vision and sound are on. The station goes on the air.
Television was born into a struggle between rival parents. The partly mechanical system of the inventor John Logie Baird, backed by strong commercial interests, and the eventual winner, the more advanced and wholly electronic 405-line system from Marconi EMI. The next debate came in the 1960s. The issue then was colour.
We now present from Studio A, Alexandra Palace, another program in our series of experimental transmissions in colour.
In this area, we trailed some way behind the Americans. They'd had colour television since the early 50s. The simplest solution was to adopt their system, and that was what suited the manufacturers best, a proven technology.
In the shadows on the left, is that shading? Yes, we'll have to change the green cube tomorrow.
Well, Britain chose 625-line PAL as well as some pretty poor actors, and we've enjoyed the world's best television colour ever since. Now in the 1980s, we've come to another crossroads. Do we stay with PAL, a system that really has taken the old technology virtually to its limits, or do we set out on a new path that will lead to higher quality and ultimately to real high-definition television? In fact, the progress we can now look forward to in Britain is the result of a heated argument that's taken place throughout Europe, Britain and the continent. There were 2 arguments. First of all, whether to stay with PAL or whether to adopt a more sophisticated system called MAC. Now, MAC stands for the Multiplexed Analog Component Transmission System. Once that argument was resolved, the argument to go for MAC, Then came the second argument, which version of Mac to go for? The most sophisticated one, called CMac, the most practical one, which was called DMac, or a cut-down version, which was called D2Mac. Well, in the name of free enterprise and freedom of choice, with a delicious sense of irony, the government decided. And the decision it took, of course, was to go for DMac. As it happens, like everyone else, BSB had considered all the various options. Eventually, BSB themselves had come down in favour of DMac as the option that they favoured. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look in front of you, directly in front of you, you'll see a fairly ordinary television set. I promise you it is ordinary. Your set should be giving you a test card, but what you are seeing is a DMac transmission. It's coming this very instant, live, via satellite from Norway. So contrary to what some of you may have heard, ordinary existing sets can show DMac.
BSB will be transmitting 3 new national television channels, 2 of which will be free and the 3rd subscription. The DMac signal comes from a rooftop aerial to a set-top box. BSB's DMac box decodes the signal and passes it to the television. In the future, TVs will be on sale with this circuitry built in, but to use an existing TV, all satellite transmissions need a set-top box, whether they're in PAL or DMac. The signal is passed to the TV via one of 2 routes. The first route uses a standard lead, like the one used for connecting up a video recorder at home. Plug it in, and you'll receive a picture from BSB. The second route uses an RGB connector, commonly known as a Euro connector or a SCART plug. Either route gives the BSB viewer access to much improved sound quality. This is because the sound transmission on DMac is digital stereo. It has the same clarity as a CD player, and BSB's set-top boxes can easily be connected to a home hi-fi system.
Hello, Oslo. How are you?
Fine. Hello, London. We are just fine and receiving you loud and clear.
Good. Have you got the reindeer?
Yes, I do indeed.
Okay, let them go, please. I'm going to say it again because it's worth saying. This is a piece of history in the making. You are the first audience to see it. This presentation is the very first time that DMac has been broadcast by satellite with moving pictures. It's only been tried with a test card before, and even then, not in front of an audience. Now, remember, as you're watching this, that although the transmission is in DMac, you're actually watching it on a conventional set in PAL. That's terribly important. But what about that second route I spoke of? The route that connects the decoder to the set via, for example, a SCART plug. Now, this is a hand control. Normally, these will be integrated into infrared controls. Each of your set has one. There are 2 keys marked. On the left, it says PAL. On the right, it says DMac. And when you point the unit at the receiver and press Mac, you will get a DMac image. And if you want, you can press back to PAL. Please go ahead, along with me. Try switching now to DMac. Now, before I go on to talk about improvements in picture quality, and I'll demonstrate those in a moment, what about that sound? I mean, that was pretty good. This is television, remember. Usually television, of course, is in mono, but as you heard, DMac can provide high-quality stereo. Now, if I can ask you all to switch back to PAL for a minute, the left-hand button, is everybody now on PAL? I want to demonstrate the picture improvement that you get with DMac if it wasn't obvious to you when you looked at those pictures. Just watch this short piece of video, and please resist the temptation to switch back to Mac for the moment. Just leave your sets on PAL.
To all intents and purposes, that picture may have seemed fine, but But the TV picture we become used to is defective in several ways. For instance, the vibrant movement in the green part of this image. The way some colours spread, as happens with this purple. The muddiness when certain colours appear together. And the best-known problem of all, the beating effect caused by stripes and herringbone patterns. All these faults disappear when you see a DMAC transmission, as the demonstration showed so effectively. The improved picture quality given by DMAC is available through the RGB connector. This is already fitted to 50% of sets sold last year and 25% of all sets over 16 inches.
Now, as I say, I will come back to the true significance of that DMAC sophistication in a moment. After all, PAL, let's not knock it too much. It served us very well, and it looks really quite good unless people like me start pointing out the problems to you. But let me now clear up something else about aerials. To pick up a medium power signal transmitted via a medium power satellite, you've been told you'll need a dish like this. That's the size of it. It's big and it's heavy.
The bulky type of dish needed is unwieldy. Its size and shape make it difficult to install, and in some cases, planning permission is needed. Also, trying to position it correctly in relation to the satellite is difficult.
Well, now, let's contrast that with what you're going to need to pick up a picture from BSB. That. Now, let me first tell you one thing about that may not have been apparent from what you've read so far. This is a 30-centimetre dish. You may say, that's half of that. That's what the press have said. It's not half of that. Any of you who did O-level mathematics will know that this is a quarter of that. And what's more, it is an eighth of the bulk. So this is a whole different ballgame. Now, the reason it can be this small is because we can get signals off BSB from a high-powered transmitter. In fact, it's a mighty 110 watts of transmission. What's more, the satellite is positioned in such a way that its footprint, instead of being over Europe, is beamed over the centre of the British Isles.
The dish that is needed to receive BSB programs is much smaller and far more compact than the conventional one. But now, there's an exciting new development. It's a revolutionary type of aerial, dubbed the squarial. It's flat and only 25 centimetres wide. That's less than a foot. Its lightweight makes it easy to install, and it can be produced at low cost.
Now let's move on to another vital feature of DMAC technology. DMAC provides a large number of data channels, and this facility alone allows BSB to introduce what's called conditional access. In other words, it doesn't just produce television pictures and stereo sound, there are other channels coming down as well. And quite simply, conditional access allows a viewer to subscribe only to the program of his or her choice, while for the program operator, it provides an ideal network management system. Now, BSB is going to transmit all its programs in scrambled form. The proper term for it is encrypted format. The purpose of this is to restrict viewing to the UK. Now, why should you want to do that? Well, actually, it's very important because it keeps copyright costs down, and that means that program budgets will go further. There are two other ways in which BSB will secure a higher quality of television: through subscription and through pay-per-view. Now, both are made possible by conditional access. One of BSB's 3 new channels will be subscription, opening up a whole new source of television revenue. It will apply to the movie channel, and it will offer recent releases way ahead of conventional TV. Pay-per-view extends the service offered by the 2 free channels. It means paying for an individual and exceptional program. It will only apply to exceptional events, perhaps once a month, opening up live TV access to special concerts, perhaps, or to a major sporting event that otherwise wouldn't get onto television at all. So that, too, will self-finance an additional choice for British viewers.
BSB will be using a conditional access system designed for Europe, known as Eurocipher. The system is being developed in collaboration with General Instrument of San Diego, and its features were demonstrated by Dr. Mark Medras of their Video Cipher division.
Thank you, Nick, and good morning. It's a pleasure to be here today, sharing the stage with BSB.
Building on 5 years' experience in the USA, the Eurocipher Conditional Access System will provide maximum security, optimizing copyright protection. Similarly, inside the home, parents can control access to the programs their children can see. The facility can also provide confidential information, such as your itemized account with BSB and the current state of your credit. Electronic mail is another feature that can be delivered within the secure system. In addition, the system can offer language options and data channels.
DMAC will very soon enhance the domestic viewing experience beyond measure. It will narrow the gulf between watching something on television and seeing it at the cinema, because we'll be able to widen the screen.
This is the shape of tomorrow's screens, a 16:9 format, a future which, thanks to DMAC, is only 2 to 3 years away. In addition to an increased screen area, BSB will be able to transmit extended definition television, increasing the resolution of the image you see, quality more akin to the cinema than television. Of course, those with existing TV sets will still be able to receive the transmission in the conventional 4:3 format, and the system will be compatible with tomorrow's high-definition television, HDMAC.
And that impressive widescreen format, let's face it, is going to be the standard of television that our children come to accept as the norm. Let me just recap, because there are all sorts of different points to remember. Firstly, BSB is going to introduce DMAC from the start. BSB's DMAC receiving equipment is compatible with existing television sets, and it gives access, if you've got SCART plugs, in other words, newer television sets, to an improved quality straight away. In fact, DMAC provides superior sound and pictures. What's more, it will allow the next generation of products to evolve. When BSB begins transmissions in about a year from now, its programs will be accessible nationwide without recourse to great big dishes, which are unsightly and difficult to install. Through Eurocipher, DMAC is the route to subscription television and to pay-per-view television, and to extra facilities like parental control. Eurocipher also allows BSB to minimise copyright payments for countries outside the UK. Very important, because it means that budgets can be used to pay for higher quality programmes. So you've seen DMAC, you've heard DMAC, you've had a taste of the technical quality of what BSB with DMAC is going to bring to British television. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention and for your questions. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
The first public demonstration of DMAC transmissions and BSB's associated technology is over. Individual reactions are positive, and across the media spectrum, enthusiasm runs high.
I was very impressed indeed by what I saw. BSB pulled at least one major rabbit out of the hat. We've all got used to the idea of these nice little, and indeed not so little, dishes that we'll have to put on our roofs to bring in satellite television. We've been talking about flat antenna that could go perhaps on our roofs, but we all believed they were really much too expensive for the average consumer. Suddenly today, and indeed it was a deal only signed this morning, BSB produces this little square dish, 25 centimetres, a flat dish, which could go on the roof and hardly be seen.